my first time I met Stan, I didn't know it was going to be Stan Getz. Someone told me that Stan was coming over to see me. And so when the doorbell rang, I said, "Ooh, Stan Getz," and then we spent 12 hours together that day because it was just he was a person. When I sat down with him, and the first thing I said to him when we went in our little session was that I said, "Stan, the biggest thing with you is you don't love yourself." And he started crying. Tears came down his eyes. And he always had to put up this wall about being strong and about being perfect. And inside, he just really didn't love himself. He hated the way he did things. All the stuff that he had to do, it was like he had this anger. So he had to put up this different face in front of the audience. And I said, "Hey, we all make mistakes in life." And I told him that you have to learn how to forgive yourself and forgive others. You punish yourself and you punish other people. And he was sitting there listening. And I told him, "Hey, you just have to learn how to let go. Just relax. And this is all part of life. And your lesson in this lifetime is learn how to relax and be yourself and to forgive yourself for the mistakes and forgiving others and not abusing yourself and not abusing others." And that really opened things up for him because he really relaxed. And after we had this, I told him just to let it out. And he was just crying. And after he just felt very, very empty. And then he started feeling good. Yeah. And I told him what happened was, when he plays his music, I said, he gets in this zone. I said, "Hey, look at how you feel when you're playing your music, when you're feeling good. It's like, hey, it just comes out so beautiful. You don't even have to think. It just comes out." I said, and I'm looking at your vibration, and where you play, your zone is at a color called as fluorescent yellow. I was looking at him. And I said, "Hey, you can recreate this anytime you want in your head. All you have to do is think of this color, fluorescent yellow, right on top of your head." And because after he performs, he comes down. And he comes down hard. He comes back down to this really purplish black color. And he gets depressed. And it says totally, it's like when he's performing, it's like he's on stage and he's got to be at his best. Everyone has to be at their best. And as soon as he gets off, boom, goes way down. It happens to a lot of performers. And what happens is you get so far down, you need something to bring you back up. And he said, "Yeah." And I said, "And you're smoking. The smoking is just, it kind of blocks the pain." But what happens is I was looking at his energy. I said, "It just blocks everything out." And so once that wears off, you feel this so depressed. I said, in some way you have to pull yourself up. I said, if you just breathe, I showed him how to meditate and just to breathe. And he started doing it in this session. And I said, "Now come up to golden yellow. Just think of this fluorescent yellow on top of your head. You can do this in a split second." And I said, "Notice the difference being it's fluorescent yellow. Now I want you to just think of purplish black on top of your head." And I said, "You feel a difference?" And its energy came down. I said, "Feel that. This is where you're at after you play when you're down. And now go right back up to fluorescent yellow. Boom." I said, "Smile." And he did that. He said, "Man, this is wild." I said, "You do this, but you don't even realize this is what you do. Now, if you consciously do this all the time, you'll stay more consistent. Because vibrating at purplish black is like driving on a freeway in the middle of a traffic jam." I said, "That's where you are. A lot of times when you're purple black, you're right in the middle of a traffic jam. You get frustrated. No one knows what's going on. There's a big traffic jam, and everyone's frustrated." I said, when you're vibrating at fluorescent yellow, it's like you're flying of that traffic jam. You're not there anymore. You can see, you can use your intuitiveness, you can see what's going on. You'll feel clearer. And he said, hey, his face lit up. I said, let's just work on this. Just be there and breathe. And he felt so good. But that was a big difference. And it also, we worked on this for a few years, and it changed how he played his music. I said, when you're in that zone, hey, you're right at fluorescent yellow. You don't need to take anything. He said, I wish I knew this years ago.
Benson, you're waxing poetic here, and I really appreciate it. I mean, why don't you think though that Stan never took responsibility for most of his actions because he couldn't remember most of the time he was in those fugue states? I mean, didn't you get on him for not taking responsibility for his own actions?
Yeah, he knew it too.
He knew it. He knew it, but it's just like, he was. What year did you? I'm just trying to figure out at what year did you meet him?
In 1985.
So you met him in '85, and he was still. Yeah. I know at that point he had cancer, but at that point he was still using drugs and alcohol too.
Well, he was. I think occasionally, but he wasn't really using that as like medication from doctors and a lot of smoking. But
a lot of cigarettes. No, so I want you to go back to this alpha state. I've been focusing on the alpha state. You used it as the color yellow, but where he would fixate, could have been a pretty girl, could have been, just staring off. But the focus that this cat had was incredible. But again, why did Stan, even though he possessed all these gifts musically, he couldn't explain them? Why did he hate himself?
Why did he what? I'm sorry.
You said at the beginning of the conversation he was very down on himself when he first met you. He really was why was he disappointed? Because he I mean, listen, let's face it. It wasn't like he would talk to his kids, in the 70s, and he'd be like, "Did I really do that?" And they're like, "Yeah, Dad." So he couldn't remember doing certain carnage, but I know he. Why do you think that he was he a perfectionist? Why did he hate himself? Why was he so down on himself? Why was he disappointed in himself? Why was he so insecure?
That was because I think when he took all those drugs and all that stuff, he just was like, I can do anything I want. I am no good, so I'm just gonna. He just went wild. So he didn't care. He just blanked a lot of the stuff out. And we went over these things in many sessions. I told him when he's thinking back, how did you feel this time? Why did you do this? And how do you feel now? He said he's so sorry for so many stupid things he's done. But he said he wanted to change, but he can't even know how. And the only time he felt comfortable was when he got in front of crowds and played. But then after the performance, it's just like he still had to keep this thing up in front of the public until he was home. Then he'd get really angry because he is tired and angry. He didn't feel good. He abused himself for so long that his body didn't feel good, his mind didn't feel good. And so a lot of things he just blanked out, like totally forgetting. He could be yelling at someone and then totally forgetting it. And he knew it, but he knew it back then that that's what he was doing. He was lashing out at everyone. He was lashing out at himself. Finally, he got it out of the system by a lot of our talks, but him meditating and just learning how to let go. Can't change the past, but the only time you can make a change is right now. But if you want to be happy, you want to feel good, then you have to start being happy right now. Do the right things right now, and you're already setting your path for the future. And so he said, I want to start doing this. I would just want to feel good, and I know a lot of people hate me, and
Go ahead.
And he said that he wanted to try. He wanted to start new. So he was like, uh, he just felt like a little kid at that time. I told him just be in kindergarten, just play, just like you don't have to be taking responsibility for everything. Just let go of everything right now. I told him to start out right now and just play, because he wanted to block out all the bad memories before.
What were the?
So
Can you point to a specific thing that he was hung up about?
well, it had to be his parents.
Can you
You
talk
know,
about that?
he
I'd love to. I'd
yeah.
love for you to talk about that.
He didn't want to disappoint his parents, his mother. He said that his mother used to. He smiled when he said, "I just had this saxophone when I was young, and she just wanted me to play." And he'd play day and night, play out the window, and he didn't want to disappoint her. He loved her so much, and she loved it. But then it's like when he go out and play, he I guess everyone else was doing different drugs and stuff, and he got caught up in that. And she kind of knew something was wrong, and she would, and he felt he disappointed her, and that was, I think, the biggest thing. He didn't want to disappoint his mom. And his dad didn't really express that much to him, so his energy was quieter. So he's always wondering about his dad, if he really loved him or cared. So didn't have that real good communication with his father, but with his mom he did. And so his mom was always telling him to respect females, do this, do that. So he kept that in his mind, but he felt like that a lot of times as he was growing older, he didn't follow that. He resisted that. So anyone who tried to act like his mom or try to say, hey, be gentle, be this, do it for a while, and then